Hey guys, this is Cat with Tape, and today you join me for episode 34 of Road to Colonisation, and we start around Lathe, of course, with the fuel shuttle, which last episode started its voyage towards Bop to go and fetch some fuel, because we are rather low on fuel around Lathe right now. It took a lot of fuel to get here, obviously, and so we didn't have much left over, and we have to fly planes around and move ships around and one day head back to Kerbal for a bit, probably, so we're going to need some fuel. So we're sending this off on its merry way to go and fetch some fuel from Bop. However, to mine fuel on Bop, we'll need to connect two vehicles together, which cannot be done autonomously, somewhat annoyingly, so I'm also going to have to send some Kerbals. So I will have to find some other scraps of fuel from around from around Lathe to send the Concordia on its way as well. So we're going to send the Concordia up to the Endurance, grab the fuel out of the Endurance, and send this to Bop as well, so that we can have a pilot and an engineer to operate the fuel shuttle. So we're getting ourselves an encounter set up, and then we will arrive at the Endurance, as you see here, slowing down as the two giant ships approach each other. The Endurance much bigger than the Concordia, of course. The Concordia used to be quite the big ship, but not so much anymore. And then we just dock the large docking ports together, so I can transfer across some fuel. I'm also going to leave that life support thing on the end of the Concordia here, just to conserve Delta V, because I don't want to be hauling that out to Bop for no reason. That's just the deep space extension to the Concordia, really. So yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to transfer basically, well, all of the fuel from the Endurance across to the Concordia. And then transfer that around to make sure it's all at the right engines, and then probably put some monopropellant in there as well, because we're going to need pretty much all the stuff we can get. We're going to transfer as much life support into the main tanks of the Concordia as we can, and we're going to undock from the interplanetary extension and head off to Bop. We also left one of the Kerbals behind in the Endurance, because we only need 3. We need 2 pilots. Oh no, we left 2 scientists behind, and we transferred some Kerbals around. Basically, we're just taking 2 pilots and an engineer to Bop, because it could be quite a long mission, and we want to conserve life support, because, well, we wouldn't want our Kerbals dying out there, although there is a bunch of extra life support out there anyway on the station, so all is good. Anyway, so we get our maneuver locked in and start our burn to head on to Bop and get a nice fly past of the Endurance and start leaving. This obviously all took quite a while in real life, but it's been cut down quite a lot just to make it a little more, watchable. And we get ourselves our... We escape Lathe, and our encounter is laid in for Bop. Obviously, we'll have to do quite the plane change. I'm starting to think maybe I should have put the mining operation on Pol, given the high inclination of Bop. I think that may have been an oversight, but it works. It's fine. It'll be fine. However, while traversing our orbits with the Concordia, I noticed that I'm going to encounter Tylo. So before I can do any actual maneuvers, I'm going to have to... I'm going to have to sort this out. I'm going to have to make an avoidance maneuver and then a correction maneuver to fix the avoidance. So a quick prograde burn, and then here a plane change and everything else will get me my encounter with Bop rather nicely. Maybe I could have used the Tylo encounter to my advantage. I probably should have. Yeah, good job, Peter. Good job saving that fuel, but it didn't occur to me. I saw it as a problem, not a solution. I would have been kicked off into interplanetary space, basically, if I'd encountered Tylo, so we didn't want that to happen. So we make our little avoidance maneuver here, and then we'll correct it in a second. Yes, that's the problem with all of these moons, is you never know what you're going to encounter unless you look through everything, which I guess I could just do by pressing a few buttons, but sometimes I'm incompetent, and sometimes the game doesn't show you the exact future, so yeah. Anyway, since the fuel shuttle left first, it will be doing its plane change and its encounter first, so we're going to go and do that now. It needs some tweaking, of course, because errors seep in, but we get that all fixed up, and then we'll do the burn, get ourselves lined up with hopefully the equator-ish of Bop. Luckily, it's a really, really small world, so it doesn't really matter where we are. We can change our orbits very easily on Bop. But we want to be as close to the equator as possible, because that's where everything is. So yes, there we go. But before the fuel shuttle arrives, of course, the Concordia will have to do its plane change. Now, there'll be no problem getting the fuel shuttle into orbit of Bop. The Concordia, however, will have a little trouble, because after this plane change, it will be pretty low on fuel and might not quite have enough Delta V to make it into orbit of BOP. We may have to figure out a solution, or maybe we can just burn a little RCS. We will find out. So yes, this is done, and then we start planning our orbital insertion maneuver, and you can see it's a little more Delta V than we have. But we do have a lot of monopropellant, so I'm thinking it should be fine. Maybe just about. But I guess we'll see. But for now, we're going to jump to the fuel shuttle and get this into orbit first. This will, of course, be freighting fuel and ore back and forth from, well, not back and forth, just back from BOP to Lathe. Of course, taking ore because that's needed to generate organic material for some reason. I don't know, man. I guess there's something about ore that who knows. Basically, the way it works is there's a system in Tech Life Support for growing algae, which you can turn into food in a farm. So, yeah, I guess algae feeds off ore. Maybe? I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, the fuel shuttle's getting into orbit now, with ease, with all of its Delta V, because it's quite light. It's basically just a fuel tank with engines, whereas the Concordia has to support Kerbals. Those pesky Kerbals that need living space and food and oxygen. God, what complainy bastards. Anyway, so a few minutes out from our maneuver, we fire up the reaction control systems until a point where we've burned off enough mass to increase our Delta V and burned off enough velocity that our maneuver node is low enough that we can actually get into orbit with our engines. So it's just a balancing act. But yes, we won't have to perform any kind of rescue. The ship is quite capable of it itself. It will just about make it into orbit, and luckily this is where we're getting all of our fuel from, so it will have no problem getting back to Lathe once it is full of fuel. So yes, there we go. Crisis averted. The Concordia is here safely. But we need to get it into a proper orbit, so we're going to send the fuel shuttle up there to transfer some of its fuel across before it goes and grabs some... This is the other fuel shuttle. There's two fuel shuttles. It's going to get kind of annoying, but you can see the video. Anyway, so yes, this is going to go and encounter the Concordia, give it some fuel so it can get into a proper orbit. However, there is no small docking port on the fuel shuttle, so I'm going to have to take the station up there with me as well, which will cost a little more fuel, but hey, we have it. It's fine. So we extend out our orbit to meet up with the Concordia, we'll do a plane change and then an encounter maneuver, and then we'll encounter and transfer the fuel. Pretty much the same thing as always. It's always a precarious situation bringing a large fleet into orbit of somewhere like Joule, because, you know, you tend to have a lot of ships with very little fuel, and when you have different operations on different moons, it can become quite annoying. I guess I could have put a mining operation on Lathe, but then it would have been really hard to get any fuel off of it without really big rockets, so... this was the best we could do, but hey, I think it's a good system. It just has a lot of transfers in it and takes a while to operate, but it's fine. Anyway, so yes, we've got our encounter all laid in now. We're going to do a little burn in a few minutes, and then we'll meet up with the Concordia. The crew will be truly happy to see all the fuel coming up so that they will safely be able to get places, because it's... Well, I don't know, I think it'd be nicer to be stuck in a very eccentric orbit, then you get a better view of everything. If you're in just like a low orbit, you just see the same stuff all the time. You know, you're just right next to it. Although the nice thing about BOP is if you felt like it, you could just jump out of the spaceship and go down there and have a walk around with your RCS bag. Anyway, the fuel shuttle is getting its encounter now. There's lots of orbits between this, but I usually just cut them out because it's already a pretty long episode of just moving fuel around, but... as is the way with having a fueling operation in interplanetary space. So yes, now we're just bringing in the Concordia for its second docking of the episode, which is not something it usually does, but in this fleet it's probably the smallest of the ships, really, other than maybe the planes. So, yeah. Anyway, we dock it. We're going to get about half of our fuel into its tanks so that it can, so that we can both get it back into a reasonable orbit, and then at some point it will be fully refueled for going back to Lathe, so that the Kerbals can go and get some R&R on the base. Most of the Kerbals haven't actually been to the base yet. It's still getting set up, having life support issues we'll talk about later. So yes. Anyway, I'm going to raise my periapsis now to about 40 kilometers where the other things are orbiting, which seems to be my parking orbit for BOP, and then I'll put in a maneuver for... getting it into a circular orbit, and I'll do the same with the fuel shuttle. However, I did forget to transfer the crew across, which was a bit of an oversight, so a little while later I'm like, oh damn, I didn't do that, so we're going to have to just fly them down, because, yeah, obviously I need the crew to be in the minor. Apparently I got like a gajillion world first just there, but, you know, that happens all the time with with space programs around somewhere with a lot of moons, it's like, hey, you just went to Joule. Hey, you just went to Lathe. Hey, you just did the first EVA on Lathe. Oh my god, you just did the first docking on Bop. You just did the first encounter on Pol. It's like, yeah, okay, oh my god, shut the fuck up. Too many world firsts. Anyway, a view into my world first stress. Those are first world problems. Those are world first problems. Haha, that's a joke. Anyway, so we get an engineer and a pilot in there. There's just a pilot left in the Concordia who gets it into a nice orbit, I was going to say, and has the ship to herself. Or himself? Well, one of them. Anyway, yeah, so he has the whole Concordia. He can just walk around, has the whole place. It'll be great. Anyway, so now we need to get this into a circular orbit and then drop the fuel shuttle onto the surface where the miner is and start gaining fuel, start fueling up, and bring that back to orbit. So, and we're going to do that now. We're actually already in a pretty good place. So we transfer a bit of monopropellant around. I think I leave some oxidizer in the... I've already transferred the oxidizer out of the shuttle, I think. And then, we're going to head on down there. Go grab some fuel, grab some ore, grab some oxidizer, all the good stuff. And don't forget, take our first steps on Bop. This isn't just an industrial mission, this is an exploration mission. We're going to go and plant a flag, walk around, just get bits of the ground and be like, this is crazy, this is science, and then we're just going to send it back. It's going to be great. This is not just an industrial mission, although we've gotten quite used to all of this. It is still new grounds. We've walked on something like this before. As I've said before, it's basically just Gilly, But anyone who didn't get to go to Gilly, so everyone who isn't Jebediah is very excited about this. It's Gilly 2, Revengeance. Gilly 2, Electric Boogaloo, In-Space Boogaloo, I don't know, man. But yeah, so it'll be interesting, and I think I do have a contract to explore Bop, so I do need to land and send science back, and then I'll have completed that, and I'll get about 300 grand, which will be quite nice, because we left the space program quite impoverished when we were like, yeah, we need like all of your money to build this sick fleet, and they were like, oh. And we were like, yeah. And then we just took it. And then they were like, you're going to do some stuff out there, right? We're going to make some money. And we're like, yeah, man, sure. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so yeah, we're bringing the shuttle down now. Getting landed as close to the miner as possible because we have to connect them with the Kerbal attachment system pipe, which don't go that far. And I don't have any extra things to, like, connect them with. I don't have, like, any ground pylons. So, yeah. Anyway, we do a pretty good job, though. We're coming down right on top of it because of my fantastic piloting skill, and not at all because it's really easy to do this on low-gravity worlds. And, touchdown rather gently, hoping that I remembered to put pipe ends on the Bop miner, otherwise this is going to be quite awkward when we get down there. But yes, now we touch down on the surface, beautifully down. That's rather nice landing, and then start sliding down the hill because... yeah, I don't know, at some point Kerbal Space Program just sort of abandoned friction. I don't know what update it was, but I guess, yeah, anyway. So the first thing we do, of course, is get out, take an EVA report, take a surface sample, throw down a flag, say Bop landing, wish I'd picked a better flag for this really long series I did, and then we head over to the miner, grab some pipe ends, and start connecting up the spacecraft. So we'll just attach that there, and now they are linked, now they're linked, and now we can start transferring fuel across and start mining. However, the miner uses more power than it generates, which is fine when it's mining. It just means it mines less. But if it does that, oh yeah, also we completed the contracts. That was really quick. Sorry, I didn't really see it. But yeah, we got the money for exploring Bop. Anyway, what I was saying, power deficit. It's fine when it's just mining fuel, but it's not fine when you have Kerbals who need power to not freeze. So we're shutting down some radiators. And what this does is reduces the thermal efficiency of the drill and the ISRU, which reduces the amount of power they use. So eventually I get to the point where I'm mining very little fuel, but I have more than enough power to keep my Kerbals alive. And I spend quite a while kind of balancing this, trying to get enough fuel mined because it's going really slowly. So what I end up doing is actually opening up the radiator until my power runs out, then close the radiator until I have enough power again, then open it and close it, and just kind of keep doing this a little bit so that I can just kind of efficiently mine fuel. And this does take a while, and I ended up just leaving it for a while. But yeah, eventually, after much time, we do manage to mine enough fuel, which is good. It's always annoying when you're far out from the sun. You just never have enough power. But yeah, anyway, it wasn't really a problem. I just finagled it a bit, and now we are full of fuel and ore and oxidizer and all of that fun stuff. And we have the slowest takeoff ever from Bop, which is a very low gravity world. A little higher gravity than Gilly, really, but yeah, you can see how this was at 1 times speed, but I'll spare you it with 4 times speed. Here we go. So yes, that actually did take a while. The amount of footage you see does belies the amount of time that it did take to extract this much fuel from Bop, but it was mostly a passive process. So yes, now we're full up with 1 load of fuel. We can bring it up to, which actually is going to bring it right up to the transfer shuttle, which is going to go back to Lathe, rather than going to the station in between, because there's no point doing that. So after a little while, we get ourselves, our apoapsis up to 40 kilometers, and then push ourselves on into orbit. And then we will meet up with the fuel shuttle, which is extra confusing because these are both fuel shuttles. So it will be a fuel shuttle meeting with the fuel shuttle. I wonder how Kerbal Space Program will handle fucking up the names, because whenever you dock spacecraft together in KSP, it just messes with the names in like weird ways. It's just like, oh well, this small plane docked at this station, so this station's called the small plane now, right? And it's like, oh no. Anyway, it doesn't matter too much, though. I'm just very undiligent with renaming spacecraft. And anyway, we get ourselves an encounter, we do a little burn, and we will arrive at the other fuel shuttle in 1 orbit's time, which is nice. And that's what we do here. We slow down, and we're like, oh, hey, bro, we got the fuel you need. And it's like, oh, thanks, bro, I need that for Lathe. And I don't know why they're talking like this. I'm tired, and it's been a lot of just fueling. you gotta make stuff up, you know? You gotta keep it fresh. With really shitty, not even humor, and yeah, then we dock and just, yeah, I don't know. It was a little tedious doing all of this, but it was worth it. We fuel up the whole fuel shuttle except for the outer tanks, which we only fuel up a bit, so we're gonna have to do this again. But it won't take as long because most of this episode was just getting all of this stuff out here. But yes, so there we go. We have, we're also transferring across all of the ore, of course. We need to bring that back because it's needed for life support, as I've explained a few times. We also transfer a few, just kind of the bits of extra fuel across because we don't need it in the other shuttle. We need it for going back to Lathe and that sort of thing. And then we undock, and we're going to go land again, but I'll spare you that, and we will just magically appear on the surface of Bop. Here we are landing, because... You want to see the whole thing again? You just saw it. You know, here we are. We landed right near the miner. We connected it up, and it'll get all the fuel we need, and everything will be great. Just, yeah, there we go. I thought I'd spare you the whole process of all of that again. It has been a lot of fueling this episode, but now let's move on to something different. Let's jump over to Lathe, see how the life support's going. Oh, there's no water on this hill? Oh good, that's nice. There's no water on this hill. So this relies on being able to mine water with drills to be self-sustaining. Also, they're upside down in here. I didn't fucking realize when they're upside down. Anyway, so the life support system isn't working super great because everything else works. Except for 2 things. Firstly, in my head, Lathe has an oxygen atmosphere, but apparently it's mostly salt. A lot of people were really annoyed I took off the Kerbal's helmets. They were like, they'd be dead, man. How could you do that? I was like, I didn't make the mod, you know? Be angry at that guy. People were genuinely pissed off. But anyway, yeah, so main problem is I don't think I'm going to be able to extract oxygen from the air just by sitting here. I think I'm going to have to bring some extra equipment. Also, we're not near any water because we're like 5 kilometers up, and I don't want to move the whole base, so I'm going to have to send some more equipment, which I'm actually fine with because this base needs a few more things. It's looking a little bit sad, you know? Also, we really need the water. You can see I'm trying to figure out if these farms are using water. It turns out they are, so I'm going to need to somehow get water here. So my solution, instead of moving the base, is to send an extra piece of equipment to Lathe. So that will be this. This is the water miner. It's a jet-powered aircraft, which will hopefully work on Lathe. Yeah, jets work on Lathe. And it flies vertically, it works like a lander, but is very efficient because of jet engines, and it will use parachutes. And what it will do is it will go and find some water, it will land, it will deploy its drill, mine the water, and then fly back to the base. So that was my quick solution to this. Also, I wanted to send a rover, because why didn't I bring a rover? So I built this little camper van looking thing. It has a claw for utility, has just a few extra little things, and in the back it has some seats in the little roofed bit. How cute. I know, that's going too. And also we're sending this up. I said a while ago that we were doing the last launch when I thought it was the last launch, but I forgot a couple of things, and we're going to correct that in the next couple of episodes. So I'm also sending up some equipment. This is some extra life support, because since we're not going to be generating life support, it would just be good to send some more out there. There's also just a giant fuel tank that's going to land on Lathe, just so I have some fuel down there, because I just need some extra fuel. Yeah, that's basically what this is. And next episode we'll send up the rover and the water miner, and that'll head out there as well to firstly have exploration vehicles, because the water miner also works as a long-range exploration vehicle. The rover is a utility rover, but also works as a short-range exploration vehicle, so that'll be fun. And then this, of course, is just some support stuff that I kind of need. Some extra resources, just a big fuel tank to have on the surface of Lathe, and some extra life support, because it's going to be a while before our life support systems work properly. So yeah, the base is going to get more awesome, which I think is good, because it was looking a bit, it needed a rover and just a couple extra modules would be cool. So yeah, before the series ends, there'll probably be a couple more episodes, which actually does mean this might not finish before Christmas, because I've got to go home for Christmas, and these take a really long time to record right now, because I put in quite a lot of footage into each thing, because there's a lot of boring in-between stuff. This is our payload, by the way. You can see the fuel lander on the bottom and the extra life support on top. So an oxygen generating thing on the lander, that's for Lathe, because apparently it's not an oxygen atmosphere, it's mostly salt, which is dumb. So yeah, anyway, so yes, it's been a bit of a weird few episodes of realizing that a lot of the things didn't work as I thought they would, and also landing on a 5-kilometer hill, while cool, and I stand by it because I have the high ground, which is very important. It's over, which is important, but yeah, it may not be the most logistically perfect place to have a base, so I'm gonna have to send some more equipment, and also I want to anyway, it'd be fun. So yeah, a bit of an odd episode, mostly fueling, and then, nothing works. So I even tried to edit a bunch of configuration files to try and get water on the hill to make it work, but yeah, that didn't work, so... Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. I hope it's not been too boring with just fueling, and I hope you're looking forward to the expansion of the base, and yeah, just all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I don't know, it feels like it's been a bit of a weird one, but yeah. Which of my videos aren't weird? So yeah. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll see you next time.